Our next speaker is no stranger to chaos and no stranger to hope. Amy is the president and executive director of Fill the Needs, a disaster relief organization that has mobilized volunteers and resources across the country for nearly 2 decades. A proud graduate of Loyola University New Orleans, Amy has worn many hats: entrepreneur, radio host, culinary storyteller, but perhaps her most defining role is that of a relentless doer in times of crisis. Today, she brings us a powerful message about what it means to start over, and how the most disruptive moments in life can also reveal our deepest strength. Please welcome to the TEDx stage, Amy.
August 2005 was the start of a series of events that would change my life forever. I was out of town when my husband called to say he's evacuating our cats and my papa Jake for a hurricane. I pulled up the radar and my heart sank. I thought, could this be the one? And on August 29th, 2005, what my gut feared came true. I turned on the TV. On the national news was my house, a helicopter dropping itty-bitty sandbags in the giant hole in the levee. All I wanted to do was click my heels together and go back home. The way it was, comfortable, predictable, certain. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. That's what I found myself saying as the events of Hurricane Katrina unfolded. But my first return home was nothing like I remembered. It looked like a bomb had exploded. Everything was gray, like I was living in a black and white movie or the beginning of The Wizard of Oz. And oh my God, the smell. When I close my eyes, I can still smell the gray, stinky silence. Nothing can prepare you to see your home for the first time after a devastating event. Nothing could prepare me for a 20-foot pile of debris, someone else's house in my driveway, and a car from 5 blocks away in the oak tree. Everything in my life was ruined and unrecognizable. My house was like a bathtub that had filled up with water and someone pulled the plug, and everything I owned swirled around until it landed. There was lawn furniture in the foyer, a sofa in the dining room, and my cabinets were falling out of the walls, filled with wire glasses, serving up a muddy Lake Pontchartrain cocktail. It was absolutely overwhelming. One day I was standing in my driveway and there was a fireman who was in town volunteering. He saw me. He walked up to me. He had worked the World Trade Center. He put his hand on my shoulder. He said, "Focus your energy in one spot. Everything will fall into place." So I dug down deep to find my grit and to find my drive and to tackle what was now my new normal. But there was no magic pair of ruby slippers, no wizard, and no fairy godmother to help me along the way. But there were strangers who volunteered to carry every single thing I owned to the curb. They ignited a spark within me, and I vowed to pay that kindness forward. For nearly 20 years, that spark has driven me to disaster zones across America and around the world. And the one thing I've noticed, every disaster follows the same predictable cycle. First, rescue risk assessment. This is when teams are going out to rescue families in their homes to search for survivors. Then there's a rush to survey the damage, but nobody knows what's happening. The information is so tightly controlled. 2, response. Suddenly, you're the headline news. The whole world is watching, and resources begin to pour in. During this phase, communication is critical. 3, recovery, or what I like to call hurry up and wait, because nothing happens quickly. The headlines fade, you go back to work, you go back to school, and the world assumes everything is back to normal. But let's be honest, there's nothing normal about this. This is the new normal. 4, risk reduction. This is when we finally get to say never again. How do we build back stronger? How do we prepare for next time? Because we all know next time will come. Those first 2 weeks after a disaster are critical. In a perfect world, everyone has 72 hours of supplies ready to sustain themselves. But I've seen disaster after disaster. This is not a reality. People are not prepared. And in those first 72 hours, large organizations are just beginning to mobilize. So that's where I jump in. Day 1 through day 14. Our team starts to mobilize and connect with locals on the ground. Locals know their community inside and out. They know who needs help, and they know how to get it. And by working with them, you can work quickly so that by day 14, when the large organizations are set up and loaded with resources, our team can then introduce them to a local network for long-term recovery. This 14-day model works. We tested it in Louisiana in 2016. There was a flood. We had 32 inches of rain in 34 hours. I got a phone call that there was a community completely cut off by 4 feet of water. They needed food, and they needed it fast, but it had to be easy to eat. I enlisted a friend who posted on his Facebook page, "Come to my bar and make sandwiches for flood victims." Volunteers showed up. In fact, 200 volunteers showed up. It was an instant assembly line of peanut butter and jelly sandwich making. It was a well-oiled machine until a lady stood up on her chair and said, "Everybody stop. You have to put peanut butter on both sides of the bread. Nobody likes a soggy sandwich." She was a teacher. She had seen her share of soggy sandwiches in kids' lunchboxes, and she knew there was a better way. In that one spark, 200 volunteers were back on track, and 9,600 sandwiches made their way into the community. None of them were soggy. Now, how many of you can make a sandwich? Raise your hand. Can you make a sandwich? Exactly. You can be the smart. This is why I started Fill the Needs, because everyone has abilities to make a difference. When disasters hit, people want to help. They just don't know how or where to start. The Spark framework turns that desire to help into effective action. Let me show you. Spark S, stop and evaluate. Don't rush in. Take a deep breath and ask the community what they need. Don't assume you know the answer. P, prioritize. You cannot solve every problem at one time. Focus on what can make a big impact right now. And what's needed today will be different tomorrow. A, Evaluate your assets. Once you know what's needed, what can you bring to the table? Time, money, skills, people. What are you good at? What do you enjoy? Those are your superpowers. Create a realistic roadmap. Dream big. Don't overcommit. Know that you have to be prepared to adapt and change. Okay, gather your crew. We don't do anything alone here in New Orleans, right? We bring our crew. We bring our people. Find your people. Find the people who challenge you, who support you, who stand by you when things get a little messy. Find people who share your passion. Find people who share your values. Together, your crew is unstoppable. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy had the power to go home the whole time. She just had to believe. And like Dorothy, you have the power to make an impact and change communities. You just have to believe. A path, brick by brick. A brick's just a brick. When you put them together, you create that path forward. You can be the spark. Every single act of kindness makes a difference. Can you be the spark? I'm asking you. I want y'all to stand up. Stand up. Everybody stand up. I want to know, can you be the spark? On the count of 3, we're going to all say it together. We're going to take a deep breath and say, I can be the spark. Okay? Ready? Deep breath. 1, 2, 3. I can be the spark. Now let's say it 3 times in a row. I want to feel your energy and know that that community is waiting for you to make a difference. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I can be the spark. I can be the spark. I can be the spark. You can be the spark. Find your crew, follow your passion, and be the spark. Thank you.